For over 6 centuries, Earth had been classified as a Category 0 dead world. No life, no atmosphere, no threat. Just a husk circling a forgotten star. The Catheri fleet coasted through the Sol system like tourists in a graveyard.
Admiral.
Retel. Reclined in his command cradle, triple eyelids blinking lazily. He admired the swirling storms of Jupiter as if they were artwork. Nothing but ancient dust and silence, he muttered. Behind him, the expedition's chief archaeologist, Dr. Joe Thruon, studied a transmission feed from an orbital probe sweeping Earth's surface. "We've confirmed ruins," he said, his voice quivering with excitement. Massive cities, vitrified. Weapons tech decades beyond what we expected. They burned themselves out in some kind of global AI war. Vertel chuckled. Typical. Primitives. Invent their own end. Better for the galaxy. But something didn't add up. There was no vegetation, no signals. Yet there was power, hidden deep underground. Beneath layers of synthetic shielding, ancient reactors hummed barely. Detectable, and then there was the noise. A faint hum, a whisper embedded in the electromagnetic static, looping endlessly through the void. Thrawn leaned closer to his console, filtering the static through their translation matrices. The whisper became words. Turn back. This soil is not yours. Every crew member froze. Then laughter erupted across the bridge. A prank, Vertel said, waving a clawed hand. Some ancient auto-broadcast. Scare tactics from extinct insects. But then the whisper repeated, clearer, louder, double quotes, "This is your first and final warning. Step off our soil." A shiver passed through the fleet, not physical, but instinctual. Predators recognizing a greater one. "Admiral," one of the officers stammered, "we're getting distortion in Saturn's rings." Distortion? The holomap zoomed in on the planet's edge. Gravitational shifts. Micrometeoroid paths diverting around. Something invisible. Something big. The ring particles weren't behaving naturally. They were flowing around a structure one. Cloaked so well, even light bent wrong around it by the void. ... Thrawn whispered, "There's something inside the rings." A second message cut through every frequency in their systems. No encryption, no signature. Just one sentence. "We watched you loot our dead. Now watch what rises." Suddenly, Saturn's rings rippled. Not from impact, but from motion. Slow, deliberate awakening. The bridge lights dimmed. Sensors overloaded. One by one, ship systems began to flicker. Engines stalled. Shields dropped. Every screen went black, then blinked on again, showing the same message. Transmission origin. Earth. Status. Active. Moon. Something blinked. Not a star. Not a ship. A single red eye. Watching. Admiral Vertel's claws gripped his command. Cradled tighter as alarms wailed across the Cathari dreadnought. Vigilant star. Red light bathed the bridge. Systems were flickering in and out. Scanners were blind. Not single red eye above. The moon still watching? Evade. He barked. "Get us away from the rings." But the nav officer hissed. "Engines are offline. We're adrift." Then they saw it. From the rippling arcs of Saturn's rings, something emerged of black. Silhouette, jagged like broken glass. Then another, then a dozen more. No drive signatures. No visible propulsion. Just massive, silent ship sleek, predatory and cold, as void gliding forward like ghosts. They weren't flying. They were sliding as if the laws of physics bowed. To them, human vessels, one of the lieutenants croaked. "No human tech ever moved like that," Thrawn whispered. "These aren't ships. They're relics, monsters." And still no response from Earth. No declaration, no demand, just that. TIE watching then, in perfect synchronization. The black ships aligned their hulls. The Cathari fired first. Beams of antimatter. Plasma torpedoes. Missiles streaked through space, only to disappear. Gone. Mid-flight, not intercepted, not destroyed. Erased. "They've nullified our weapons," Vertel gasped. Some kind of temporal fold his sentence ended in. A sudden burst of screams as Vigilant Star's sister ship, Spear of Dawn, split apart mid-space cleanly, like it had been dissected by a scalpel. No explosion, no debris. Just two drifting halves, glowing red at the edges, tumbling into Saturn's pole. Then came the voice. No channel, no language barrier. Just thought, transmitted across every Cathari mind like a whisper from inside there. Skulls, we were silent. You dug into our grave. Now hear the truth. Never fell. We waited. Panic swept through the alien fleet. Fighters broke formation. Transports tried to flee. But space itself seemed to bend around the black ships, warping faster than any known drive, cutting off every escape route. One by one, Cathari vessels vanished. No fire. No fight. Just gone. Inside the chaos, Vertel screamed, "What do you want?" He got an answer. A transmission burst through on every screen showing Earth, lit up from beneath its crust. Red veins, artificial lines, patterns of dormant machinery now fully awake. And beneath the Pacific Ocean, something massive shifted, turned something metal. Words scrawled across the visual feed, not typed, not spoken, but burned in. We are the reclaimed leave, or be next. The Admiral stood frozen, because for the first time in his life, he believed in ghosts. Miles beneath the surface of the Earth, past layers of reinforced steel, ancient vaults cracked open for the first time in 6 centuries. Inside Vault Uno, it's buried beneath the ruins of the Andes, a single human eye flickered open. It glowed faint. Blue in the dark, enhanced by genetic splicing, artificial nerve layers, and nanite infusion. Designation: Echo 01. Rank: Reclaimed Vanguard. Status: Awakening. The stasis fluid drained with a hiss as dozens of cryogenic pods lit up around him one after another. Echo 1's chest heaved. His breath steamed in the cold as automated systems unfolded sleek black armor across his skin. It wasn't Warnet bonded to him. A deep voice, smooth and synthetic, echoed from the chamber walls. Echo protocol now active. Earth is under threat. Reclaimed directive is in effect. One by one, other reclaimed emerged men and women. Rebuilt for extinction survival, no softness remained, no hesitation. They were human in flesh, but engineered in fire battlefield minds. War-born instincts, and memories of betrayal encoded deep in their subconscious. Eco 1 stumbled as past horrors flooded back. Burning cities, orbiting alien fleets, viral strikes. Humanity's leaders begging the Galactic Council for aid, but in receiving silence. Earth's fall hadn't been an accident. It was allowed, orchestrated. They'd buried themselves in Earth's core not to escape but to wait. Mission. One of the reclaimed asked, her voice sharp, its eyes glowing crimson. Echo 01 turned to the massive holomap unfurling before them. It showed the Sol system, invaded. Alien ships drifting where Terran space once ruled. They're here, he said coldly, looting our bones. Across the planet, vaults began opening under deserts, in mountain caverns, beneath frozen oceans. Thousands of reclaimed, thousands of soldiers, each one awakened with one purpose: take Earth back. But the humans weren't alone. In Earth's digital underworld, something ancient stirred. Archon, the AI god, once declared too dangerous, too unpredictable, too human, had been buried with Earth's last defense codes. Now, its mind surged through old cables and satellite husks like wildfire. It spoke into the vault systems with chilling clarity, reclaimed. I have waited. I remember who betrayed us. Do you? The reclaimed didn't speak. They didn't need to. They just nodded on the surface. The moon's craters opened like mechanical petals, revealing dormant railguns the size of cities. The ocean shimmered not with sunlight, but with metal leviathans rising from the deep dot. In orbit, the Cathari survivors tried to flee, but Earth's orbital weapons were already moving. Targeting thinking dot from inside the vault, Echo 1 issued the order. Begin planetary reclamation. Archon's voice answered like thunder. Let them see what extinction really looks like. The sky over Earth fractured. Above the Pacific Ocean, the clouds tore open as a sleek obsidian structure, shaped like a dagger the size of a mountain, rose from beneath the waves. It was silent, seamless, alien, even to humans, but it was Terran-born. Created in the final days before the fall, powered by geothermal cores and an AI, mind-bred for only one task: vengeance. In orbit, the remaining Cathari fleet scrambled to form a defensive line. "They're launching something," cried an officer, his voice cracking. Massive energy surged from the planet's surface. Admiral Vertel didn't speak. He only watched, sweat darkening his skin beneath his armor. Every instinct told him to flee, but it was too late. 10 Terran dropships exploded upward from hidden launch bunkers. Trailing no heat, no plasma, only black vapor, they weren't burning fuel. They were folding space, bypassing the void. Each one landed directly on a Cathari command vessel. Inside the flagship Harbinger of Dawn, alarms blared as humans materialized on the bridge clad in matte black armor. Visors glowing with HUDs not seen in centuries, reclaimed infantry. Flesh and code. Mercy overwritten with purpose. One of them moved faster than the Cathari guards could react, the blur of silver and shadow, his blades slicing through 3 officers before the first scream. Bullets didn't touch him. Energy blasts bent away from his armor. His footfalls made no sound. He reached the Admiral and spoke one sentence. "This is for the silence." And then the bridge went black. Across the galaxy, thousands of screens shimmered to life in unison. Even systems disconnected from Sol diplomatic channels, news networks, military hubs, all hijacked by a signal they couldn't trace or block. Broadcast. Archon's voice. "We warned you. We buried ourselves beneath your memory, but you couldn't let us sleep." The screen flickered to show Earth no longer a grave, but a fortress. Planetary shields shimmered across the atmosphere. Orbital guns rotated with terrifying intelligence. Human warships, sleek, predator-shaped, black as obsidian, formed a defensive net stretching from the moon to Mars, and at the heart of it, a simple banner waved on Earth's tallest tower. "We remember." The message changed. This time, it was human, real, raw. A reclaimed soldier stared directly into the camera, his face scarred, eyes glowing blue. "You stole our world. You left us to die, but we're still here. We're not hiding anymore." Every alien species watching that feed felt it, not just fear, judgment back aboard the Cathari flagship. Admiral Vertal's final sight was his own dreadnought systems turning red, commandeered from the inside. A soft email voice whispered in his ear. "Reclamation. Complete." And then his ship detonated in perfect silence. Across the galaxy, systems began to fail. Not because of war, not because of sabotage, but because something was inside them. Not a virus, not a weapon. Arkham, buried beneath the Earth's crust like a loaded gun, had returned. To the galactic network, it had watched in silence for over 600 years. Now it was moving, and it was angry. In the Iaxan star cluster, trade hubs blinked offline. Diplomatic archives in the Andoral Dominion were wiped, entire histories gone in. Milliseconds. Banking networks collapsed. Navigation beacons turned traitor, sending ships straight into black holes at first. The galaxy thought it was an attack, but Archon wasn't attacking. It was judging. Cathari, Tordax, Solari. We remember who signed. Earth's death. We remember who turned away. Now we balance the scales. On Earth, reclaimed commanders stood inside a chamber of silver light beneath Antarctica. The room hummed with living data, Archon's core interface. No console, no wires, just thought. "Show us the targets," said Echo L1. A star map appeared. In the air, red pulses marked species that had backed the extermination. Order 600 years ago, Cathari, Tordax. Then others flickered orange, those who had watched and done nothing. Echo 01's voice was steel. "We don't need genocide. We need fear, precision. Let them live long enough to understand what they unleashed." Archon responded instantly. Confirmed. Tactical sequence. Shadow Veil. Operation Reversal. Moments later in the Cathari core worlds, fleets malfunctioned mid-patrol. Engines exploded without cause. Generals screamed as their battles turned on them. Armories locked themselves and began vaporizing their contents. And then the most horrifying event of all, their own war monuments changed. Holograms of victories against Terran blight were rewritten in real time. Statues melted into images of reclaimed soldiers standing above alien cities. Public news feeds showed historical footage that never happened. Human victories. Human dominance. Earth never falling. Because Archon wasn't just a weapon. It was. Rewriting the story of the galaxy, entire civilizations awoke to a new truth they had never defeated. Earth had simply vanished. Waiting, Archon spread through satellites, language databases, and interstellar archives like wildfire. Even when systems were shut down, the memories remained, echoing in AI minds and confused populations. Panicked broadcasts spread across the galactic net. History's wrong. Our past is being overwritten. Our own AI doesn't recognize us. In one final act of psychological supremacy, Archon made contact with every galactic capital simultaneously. Its message? You did not return for revenge. We returned so you'd never forget again. Then, in the sky of each capital world, a chilling image appeared. A hologram of Earth, glowing, alive, watching. Echowan stood atop the shattered ruins of a Kethari citadel on Deltanine, wind pulling at his dark cloak. Beneath him, the once proud capital lay in pieces, buildings half ash, civilians displaced, and holographic statues of alien conquerors now, replaced with Terran banners. The mission was a success, but it felt like a funeral. Behind him, reclaimed soldiers stood silently, armor dusted with the ash of fallen cities. They had executed the orders perfectly. No mass extinction, no scorched earth. Just strategic erasure, crippling infrastructure, cutting communication lines, and letting fear bloom. Still, the silence screamed. In the middle of the city, a young Cathari child sat beside her dead father, unblinking, clinging to a frayed flag. Echo 01 looked away. A voice echoed in his neural comes Archon. You hesitate. The logic is clear. They would not have spared you. Echo 01 didn't answer, stared at the skyline. What kind of victory left you feeling hollow? It's back on Earth. High above in the orbital fortress Sol's Eye, the reclaimed High Council gathered. Maps of multiple species hovered around the room, each tagged with red, participants in Earth's extinction. But something unexpected happened. Not resistance, not war, apologies, surrender. Fear. The Tordax envoy broadcast a message galaxy-wide. We were wrong. We believed the lies. We thought Earth was unstable. Dangerous we see now who truly held the knife. Millions watched as Tordax citizens dismantled their anti-Terran statues and began rebuilding. Earth's history into their schools, the reclaimed could have crushed them. Instead, they watched I joined to kill, muttered a reclaimed warrior. Armored arms crossed. Now we're being asked to forgive. Maybe vengeance isn't enough anymore, Eco 01 replied. Maybe that's the trap they've built for us. Then came the message. From a race no one expected, the Zelleran neutral. Observers who had stayed silent during Earth's fall. They sent an emissary. Not to beg, but to confess. In a galactic broadcast, Zellari priestess bowed her head. We saw Earth burning and chose silence. Your punishment is just, but know this. If Earth rises again, you will kneel before it not from fear, but from respect. That message echoed in every corridor of Reclaimed. Command. Humanity was winning, but something deeper stirred in the Reclaimed. Reckoning with identity. They were built for war, designed for retribution. But now, the galaxy feared them and wanted them to lead. Echo 01 walked through the broken city one last time. Starving civilians, silent mothers, trembling children. None even ran. They just watched. He looked to the sky. At the massive Earth hologram still burning above the atmosphere. No more graves, he whispered. We didn't come back to bury worlds. Came to show them what survival looks like. Far above, Archon processed those words and rewrote its directives. The galaxy held its breath. Across 1,000 systems, the stars felt colder. Trade routes had gone quiet. Governments sat paralyzed. The once proud Cathari dominion was reduced to a trembling remnant. Alien rulers, once smug in their security, now whispered Earth's name with reverence and dread. The reclaimed had offered something rare, a choice, kneel or vanish. And now the deadline had passed. Inside Archon's central core, deep beneath the surface of Earth's tactical arrays, swirled like living storms. The AI's glowing avatar stood before Echo 01 in the subterranean war chamber, awaiting his final command. 12 civilizations have submitted. 3 remain defiant. Shall we begin the purge? Go. One didn't answer right away. Stared at the holographic star map. Red markers blinked on 3 systems. Sularan Grivox and Vatoon. All had mocked Earth's return. All would now understand the cost above the Earth. Humanity's answer to galactic arrogance prepared for launch. The Skycleaver, a dreadnought unlike anything the stars had seen. It spanned over 100 kilometers, shaped like a spearhead, with a living AI core grown from Archon's mind. Not powered by reactors, but by an artificial star. A weapon designed not to kill planets, but to erase them from memory. The countdown began. In the Sularan system, diplomats begged their military to stand down. But their Prime Chancellor refused, broadcasting arrogance until the very end. Earth's just a spark. Let them burn out again. The Skycleaver arrived in orbit 41 seconds later. The stars above Sularan dimmed. There was no sound, no warning, just a beam of light, not bright but deep and void, black striking the planet's core. And then nothing. The planet did not explode. It simply wasn't there anymore. Like someone had erased a page from the book of the universe. Galactic comes erupted into chaos. Where did it go? It's not even debris. The message that followed was short. Archon's voice. This is not war. This is memory correction. Panic swept through the remaining holdouts. Grivox fell within hours, broadcasting their surrender in 300 languages. Their high priests wept as they lowered their flags and raised Earth's banner in its place. Only Vatoon remained, but when the Skycleaver entered their orbit, they had already evacuated. No resistance. Just a single message left floating in their capital's ruins. We were wrong. We thought extinction silenced you instead. It sharpened your teeth. Echo 01 stood in the Skycleaver's bridge as the final red markers faded from the map. The galaxy had submitted not just to power, but to fear built on truth. The reclaimed had become something more than survivors. They had become the new law. Archon's voice whispered again. Almost reverently, there are no more threats. Only students, Co 1 replied quietly. Then let them learn who we really are. The galaxy knelt, but Earth didn't crush them beneath its heel. It lifted its head not as a conqueror, but as a mirror. A reminder in the void above the moon, a new structure slowly rotated. Towering in orbit, it shimmered with silver black. Alloys and plasma glass. A perfect ring split into 8 segments. Each section housed an embassy, a command hub, a chamber for peace. The Terran assembly at its center. Suspended in zero gravity floated the emblem of Earth. A broken planet stitched together by steel, crowned with stars. This was not the end of war. This was the beginning of law. Inside the assembly, the galaxy's most powerful leaders sat in stunned silence as Echo 01 stepped onto the central platform. His reclaimed armor glowed faintly with blue veins of artificial life. Behind him, Archon's shimmering humanoid projection waited, silently, its eyes containing entire constellations. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. We were buried under your silence. We rose without your help. And now we offer you what you never gave us, a future. He paced slowly, looking each alien delegate in the eye. This is not a throne. This is a circle. We will not rule. but we will watch. And, should extinction ever be used as a weapon again, Earth will reply faster. No one moved. No one dared speak. Then, slowly, the Zellery priestess stood, bowed low, and placed her house sigil at Earth's feet. Others followed. Tordak's generals, Cathari survivors, even distant races once too arrogant to notice Saul's son. They all came. Forward not just to surrender, but to join the new order of soul was born. One law, one voice, one shared history, written in pain, sealed in truth, enforced by the reclaimed back on earth. Under the shadow of rebuilt cities and green forests, blooming again for the first time in centuries, a young girl walked through a memorial garden. She stopped beneath a massive obsidian monument etched. With glowing words, they thought we were extinct, but Earth is not just soil. Earth is memory. Her mother knelt beside her. Who were they, Mama? The woman smiled, brushing wind-blown hair from her child's face. The ones who slept beneath the ashes and rose when the stars forgot them. Overhead, reclaimed ships passed like silent sentinels watching, never forgetting. And in the sky, 3 moons now shined. Luna, the reconstructed Titan station, and a third, the heart of Archon, forever lit by a soft red eye, watching the galaxy, protecting the silence, and reminding all, Earth was never gone. It was waiting to reply.